All righty, this is my favorite part. We are back with another episode of Seminoles Sideline 365. Once again, my name is KB, as always. Right beside me is the old man, a.k.a. Bruce. I don't know why you keep your tag as Bruce anymore. No one knows you as that. Just the oldest FSU fan of all time. So, yeah, we're back again on the bye week. So a little bit different show than normal since we have no game this weekend, which is pretty nice. No stress this weekend. No losses coming up, no wins coming up, but time to relax, get your weekend back, do something fun, stress-free, enjoy other college football games, which I'll do this weekend, and actually watch other games because it's not fun watching Florida State and then watching other games all day. So yeah, but how's everything going? Before we dive into it tonight, we'll be going through our mid-season grades. So we'll be doing a report card of each of the position groups and grading them one by one. And we haven't. The cool thing is, I just sent the topic over to the old man yesterday, and I haven't seen what he's grading. He hasn't seen what I'm grading. So that'll be interesting.
Interesting.
And then before we get into that, we'll just do a quick thoughts on Clemson, just recapping all the news that's come out since that game and final thoughts on that. We don't want to dig too deep into that since it's already Wednesday after the game. So, but Bruce, old man, how's it going on your end? How are things where you are?
Good, man. Chilly. Tampa, Florida. I'm on the road. Again this week. But chilly. Woke up 54 degrees, mister, down here. And I saw the boys at practice. Well, the boys look good, but in the practice videos, the coaches had their fleeces on, man. Had the old caps up, stocking caps on. That's beautiful. It's beautiful. A lot of people don't realize it can get down in the 30s in Tallahassee area. So it's not always like 90 degrees, but this weather fluctuates now. So
yeah.
Who knows? But everything is good here. Hey, I got my new Huck fishing shirt. I love this shirt.
These are called? What did you say? Did you just curse?
No, fuck. Huck.
Oh
No, Huck. Look, okay. Huck fishing performance shirt. Right. Anybody into fishing knows this. I sent out some tweets of fish that I caught. That's what I said. Don't get your mind out of the gutter, dude.
Yeah.
What are you
why is there a need for a performance fishing shirt? Is there a lot of sweating going on in
No. It's just comfortable. You can wear this in 90 degrees, you can wear it in 54 degrees. It's great. Look at the style on this thing. And it's vented on the sides.
Need that camo so you don't blend in, so you can blend in.
No, I must have 4 or 5 of these. One of them's kind of blue and orange. I don't like wearing that. You know why? I don't like wearing that. Unless I'm down at the swamp. Yeah. So, but everything's good. How about you, man? How's everything going?
Yeah, nothing. It's like you said, it's gotten cold up here. It's like 45 degrees here today. So had to break out the dog sweater because they
get on that long underwear.
They don't enjoy the cold either, and I don't enjoy it. But it's we're finally feeling the fall down here or up here, I should say. So yeah.
And you owe me my steak dinner, right?
I don't
when we get together. Anything. Yes, you do.
I don't owe you anything.
It was the deal was if I add a certain goal we had agreed upon subscribers over the weekend, which I did.
There's something called I never approved any. This wasn't on air.
And you would buy me a steak dinner. Oh, I didn't back out. Yeah. This guy back out.
Yeah. I didn't ever agree to anything. But with that being said, we do want to thank everyone who's recently subscribed to the show, all the likes, all the views on our past couple of shows. We appreciate the support. If you're new to the channel, first time watching the video, please like the video. It helps with getting the word out there on our program, on our new program, and encourages us to do more of them. But I think this week, well, like I said, it's not as exciting because we don't have an opponent coming up, but there's a lot to review over the past, 7 weeks of the season. So there'll be a lot to dive into, and I'm sure some heated discussion on those things. So
let me add one other thing too. And we do thank our subscribers. We do thank them. And they've been great. They're welcome to our family here. And we especially welcome and want your comments and want your questions. And you can do that on the YouTube side, on comments. and those are being monitored. And then you can send DMs, direct messages here on Twitter too,
Yep.
if you have a specific question. So, we're trying to make it as easy as possible. If there's another way to get you on the air in some way, let us know. Let us know. And we'll do the best we can. If we miss you, we apologize in advance, but keep hitting us and we'll get you on it because we want your thoughts and comments.
Absolutely. The old man is always on Twitter. So if you have any feedback or questions,
a lot of those are mine. Yeah,
go over and follow him on Twitter because.
And some people have said, what does that mean when I put Brew or Bruce? That's me. That's my comment. It doesn't necessarily mean KB. KB takes my mind down, which is wrong.
I have to censor you sometimes. So, all right. With that, that's our intro. But with that, like I said, I think it's worth doing a quick little download of the Clemson game and just getting final thoughts. That came out of we did our live reaction. If you haven't checked out the live reaction
Great show.
Do that. You got a raw, live, candid thoughts right after that game. So
those are the best.
I think those are the best shows that we do, just because,
especially with you. You.
Yeah, they're probably my least enjoyable to do, but it's probably the best content.
I love those.
If you're new to the channel, go watch the live reaction videos because you'll get the best content that there is during the week.
It's like watching a car wreck.
So is watching Florida State sometimes.
Oh,
but with that. I want to get your final thoughts on the game. Like I said, final score 34-28. Florida State had their chances in that game. It looked like early they were going to be able to compete. Got away from them in the third quarter, and then kind of had to play from behind. Fought back to make it close, make it a respectable score at the end. But I don't think it was as close as the score indicated. What are your final thoughts coming away from that game?
Yeah, I don't think the game was as close as the score indicated. In that regard. However, with that said, that the middle part of the game got away from the Noles. That's where they lost it. We went over that in the post game reaction show. You can look at that. We broke down the possessions in our last show and how the Clemson was able to score 27 unanswered points, and that was basically the ball game.
Yeah.
In that regard, then we were digging out of such a big hole that even though the guys were coming back, they showed fight. Now, you and I chatted about that before in an emotional way, but they showed fight. They showed that they were willing to play the game to the end, even though the fans, had to get to Burger King early after the damn game, which maybe we're going to talk about a little bit later.
I have the clip.
They were better. Go ahead and put that up because I think that's one of my big takeaways.
All right. I can pull it up. So this is something we discussed, I think Sunday this came out right after the game in the press conference when we were live. We were live, so we didn't pull this live because we didn't know about the comments. But Dabo had some comments about the FSU crowd here, and let's hear what he had to say.
Mike, after the game, I think they had a lot of people that left. There were a lot of empty seats where people gave up. But them kids on that sideline didn't give up. Them kids.
And let me, I'm going to make sure that the audio is coming through. Sometimes with StreamYard.
Yeah, I heard it. Weird. I heard it really good.
All right. I want to make sure everyone else out there can hear. So I'll replay it here.
Play it again.
Oh, Mike, after the game, I think, they had a lot of people that left. There were a lot of empty seats where people gave up. But them kids on that sideline didn't give up. Them kids fought their butt off. They competed, and I think that is a compliment to Coach and his staff and what they're doing here at Florida State. Man, those guys have competed every snap all year, and that is a sign of a good culture. It's a sign of kids buying in because, you're down 20 in the fourth quarter. You could have easily, hit the sideline, but those kids never quit. And I'll tell you what.
I think go back. Okay, never mind. That's fine. Here's my thought. No. It's good. Here's my thoughts. I want you to cue it back one more time for those viewers who are just jumping on here to hear that segment about him saying people were leaving. Just that piece. That's right up front here.
The game, I think, they had a lot of people that left.
That's it right there. That's good. I have never heard an opposing coach point that out to a national press and national audience, which he gets anyways on YouTube. Never heard that before. And I don't even think it got quoted in the papers, by press.
Mm-hmm.
But there's something to that. I am not a huge Dabo fan, but somehow I started buying into Dabo after how he phrased that 1 minute of comment and what he said to Coach Norvell on the sideline.
Mm-hmm.
But there were two pieces. Fans leaving. That the best programs, win or lose, their fans don't empty out like that. That is a problem here at Florida State. And I'm going to say it. And there was some fighting in Twitter this week when I was putting that out, when you and I were talking about that on the post-game reaction. It stirred up some people. Well, the game was over. I don't think you have to be a fan to stay to the end. Well, I disagree. You stay to the end. What if they would have won that game?
Yeah.
In a couple of ways. But that's not the matter, win or lose. It's a matter of this is your team. But if, a true fan, it's your team, win or lose. A lot of these fans, only if you're winning. Only if you're winning. Or then I'll go out and get my championship hat and shirt. But you know what? If you're not doing well to the stand, I'm out of there. I'm getting to Burger King first.
Yeah.
That's bullshit.
Well, I think
it is.
And I think
now, let me finish my thought while I'm on a roll here.
Yeah.
And then but Dabo Swinney caught my attention and some respect. He's a little bit of a cheerleader for me, but he caught my respect by saying these kids on that FSU sideline, they didn't quit. They didn't check out early. They kept fighting. They fought the whole game. I thought those were some of the best comments I've ever heard. Now, either Mike Norvell's daughter, which she's not, I think he has a daughter, not old enough to marry his son. Maybe that's why he's saying that. Or he's going to hire Mike Norvell if something goes wrong. But that's pretty damn complimentary. That's one of my big takes from this. So I'll let you comment on that, and then I have one other take.
Yeah, I for as much as FSU Twitter or whatever you want to call our fan base, as much as they rag on Miami about fans not showing up to the games, period, which is absolutely true, it's no better for you to show up for half of a game and then leave. It's almost a worse look, honestly, because if you don't go to a game, then you're showing no commitment at all, which is bad. But if you come to a game and then it doesn't go your way and then you leave, it's almost worse because it shows like you're very much a fair weather fan. Like, at least the fans that go to Miami games and then like a quarter packed stadium, at least those are diehards and they stay for a very bad team. For the fans just to come and then leave midway through, I mean, that's true. Like, you think, you have better things to do. You're only going to, like you said, be here for when things are good. And the fans that were like, I think you were going back and forth with when you tweeted some things, because I was looking at it. The argument was, you can't tell people how to fan, stuff like that. I get that. But I can have opinions on it. You're right. I can't tell you how to fan. I can't tell you to stay at the game the entire time.
What they do.
Yeah,
right.
I that's up to you. No one's telling you how to fan. But at the same time, you can't just be a fan when it's convenient for you either. Like, you can't just say, like, if you were able to go to the game for 2 hours, you could stay in the game for 4 hours, right? So it's like you only stayed for when it was looking good, when you were in it, and then you left. And so I think, like, you can't say, I'm all in with this team. I'm gonna ride or die, da da da. And then when things got tough, all right, well, let's book it home early, right? So that's where I had the issue. I'm not going to tell you how to fan. You can stay home for every game. I can't make it every game because I live 1,000 miles away. So, you showed up, but you only showed up for half the game because you thought things are tough. I got better things to do. This team isn't worth the time. So don't say you're a diehard fan, da da da. Just say, all right, I'm a casual fan. That's what I am. That's fine. But don't act on Twitter like, oh, I back this team, or I put up this crap. Our recruiting sucks. You know why our recruiting sucks? Because people like you leave, and we have a quarter-filled stadium on primetime ABC against Clemson, and we had a ton of recruits at the game. You don't think those recruits noticed that? I think two things. I think they did. I said this on Saturday. I do actually, now thinking about it, and I've seen some of the quotes come out, stuff like that. I do think they noticed that this team had fight. I hate saying, "Oh, a team has fight," da da da, but I think they did notice that they made the game respectable. They fought through to the end, and I think that's a message that Mike Norvell sells. That this team will fight hard. You will come here. You will compete. And this team lacks talent, and that's why we need you here. That's why we're recruiting you, because we need you as a playmaker to put us over the top. So I think that message is resonating. They saw that, they made this game respectable, made it close at the end. So I think that resonated, and I give credit to our players for fighting through the adversity and keep fighting till the end. Now, the other thing is that, though, those recruits also saw, oh, look at these fans. Like, look at having them leading. If I go to Tennessee, stands are going to be packed. If I go to any of these SEC schools, do you think they leave in the middle of these games like this? If we're losing 1 or 2 games like this, are Florida State fans going to show up for the Georgia Tech game if we play against some mediocre competition that's not on TV and we're losing? So because these kids love this atmosphere. Florida State's atmosphere is a top 5 atmosphere when it's filled to the brim like it was to start the game. Top 5. That is a huge recruiting tool for you. But when you leave, you totally kill that buzz. And I think that was just honestly so disappointing, especially on a big night like that. And that's all.
There were a couple of things. One recruit noted it. Yeah. One recruit, in a direct quote, noted it, that he saw people leaving and the place was emptying out in the third quarter. And when things look dark. Well, you know what? I'm sorry, the team can't empty out.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
If I'm a recruit on a sideline, I see that you have to worry about the fan base. You have to worry about who am I going to be playing in front of. I don't totally agree with your comment about the Miami thing. They're the few fans that show up stay.
But you can't give them. You can't give them crap. But you can't give Miami fans crap if your fans are leaving.
Don't start crapping on other people's fans if you're not going to support it, and so on. But I thought Dabo's comments about the team and about Coach Norvell were high class. And he talked direct to the point. He had no reason to say it other than he respected it and saw it and felt it. I've never seen another coach ever say that. Yeah. Yeah. And so he got some of my respect tonight that he didn't, that night. And so I agree with you. It could impact on some certain recruits that may be on the edge, where they go to a Tennessee game and they lose in a close game, and everybody stays. Or all right, whatever team you want. But yeah, I think that was a big problem. There's some fans that disagreed with our comments or my comments in particular, and that's okay. That's what we do. But don't put the championship hat on if you're not willing to go through the losing part to build to that championship.
Well, and also don't give the team crap for not fighting hard if you're not going to stay beside them and stay for the whole game. Don't expect them to give the same effort if you're not going to as well.
Yeah, and my final 2 points coming out of that to wrap up my Clemson take was, first of all, the defense is having issues. They're having issues. And they've given up in the last 3 big boy games now a lot of first downs, not getting off the field on third down, and sustained possessions where points were scored. A lot of points were scored. So that is a problem. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later on some notes I have. But I think the team fights. I think there's this fight in this dog. How that calculates into wins in the last 5 games is another question.
Yeah, my final thoughts on the game were I still think there's some breakdowns in situational play calling by Mike Norvell and staff, whether it's in the red zone, some questionable play calls or not. The execution of those play calls in the red zone is hurting this team. The fake punt, things like that come back to haunt you. I do appreciate that he's playing to win the game. And he's play calling to win the game. He's not. Someone brought this up on Twitter. I forgot who it was, and I thought it was a great. It was either a quote or a statement. They said is that Mike he's calling plays based on trying to win the game and not just trying to make games close. Like if he converts that first down, you have a chance to make it close and potentially get within. I think at the time, 3 or 4 points. But if you miss that like we did. then Clemson goes up by 20 points or plus, and then it can roll into a blowout. He's not being conservative just to make games look close and make it look like a better score than it was. He is making play calls to try to, and this may sound like an obvious statement, to win the game, but he's making some of these play calls. He is actively trying to pull the upset. He's actively trying, with the talent he has, knock off the Giants here and really go for the home runs. And he's not being overly sometimes it seems like he's being overly conservative, but he's not just playing to make close scores. He knows, if I make a mistake here, if this doesn't convert, we're going to get blown out at home.
Well, it's always the old adage, right? If he succeeds, and they go down, they score points, and it adds into the game, whether they win or lose, it's a great call. If it fails, which it did, then it's a bad call. I mean, it's that old adage.
But I
agree a little bit with what you're doing. He's playing aggressively.
Yeah,
he's playing aggressive.
And I think he is willing to take the flack to say, it was my play call. I thought it was the right thing to do. He's like you said, he's not playing just to say, let's keep the score close. He's playing to win the damn game at the end of the day, which I think there's examples where some coaches don't necessarily call it like that. They play to keep it close or try to stay within range, because that sometimes can be better for recruiting, especially if you don't have the talent to compete. But I think he's willing to be questioned, or he's willing to say, I messed up, didn't convert, we lost anyway. So
and you know what? And as long as he can go into that locker room and go into the practice sessions the next week and explain to his kids, this is what I did.
Yeah,
I'm accountable for the call.
Yeah,
I knew the risk involved and I knew the reward, and I'm doing it because that's the team I want.
Yeah,
I want aggressive play. I don't want, I'm not going to throw everything to the wind here, but there are times we believe in certain setups, we think we can make a play. And sometimes it's going to work, sometimes it's not, which puts more of a burden on you guys, but I'll be accountable for those plays, as long as you're accountable for the execution of those plays.
Absolutely.
So those are my points coming out of the Clemson game, going into this bye week, is everybody needs to take a deep breath. The players, they get a few days off, and then they need to, regroup themselves for the final push. And the final push, now we went through a tough 3-game stand here, very tough. Unfortunately, the predictions, and we can talk about those later, where we stand on those, but the last 2 games for sure, we've called them both right. And I'm not bragging about that, but it's what we thought it would be.
Yeah.
The final 5-game push is going to determine the theme, a big theme coming out of this season. And there's some really tough games in this next 5-game stretch.
Yeah. Just one more thing from it. And it kind of harkens back to the fan base and just like how close we are. Because now that I've had time to think about it, I just can't understand why people would check out when the game was out of reach. It looked out of reach. I even admitted when I was watching at home, it looked out of reach, but I kept watching. But then you're going back and watching the game. Like I said, there's a couple of plays here and there. If you make them defensively, and offensively, because the offense went cold as well, you have your chances. The biggest example of that is if you look at this screen cap right here, I'm going to share with you, is you were in the start of the 4th quarter. I mean, this is where you are. You're first and goal from the 3, and it's a 20-point ball game. You score on this drive here, which you don't. You go 4 plays and you cannot score, which we're talking about red zone execution. If you score here, it's a 13-point ball game, a 2-score ball game with 14 minutes left. So you had a chance you just have to start converting on these chances. This game was not out of reach going into the 4th. It was low probability that you win, but look where you are. First and goal from the 3-yard line.
Well,
get it within 2 scores. That's how close this ball game still was.
You make a good point. Leave this up because you said we don't convert here on a 4th down and goal. Okay.
This is first and goal, but
on first and goal, but we get to 4th, we don't score. Okay.
Yeah,
so a couple of statistics while we're on it. First of all, on 4th down conversions anywhere on the field, we're ranked 123rd.
It's killing us. It's killing us.
That is killing us in a couple of reasons. That's anywhere on the field. That's now they know, especially in the field goal, that we're a little shaky there. The opponents know that. So they're going to go on fourth down. So a lot of teams are practicing more on that and really honing in on the types of plays we run. So that's, and most of the time it's a pass play, which two bad things going to happen: incomplete and interception. So we're 31%, ranked 123, 4 of 13 on fourth downs. Mm-hmm. Now, the red zone scoring, we are ranked 101st, 76%. So when you combine that, those aren't good rankings.
No, and it literally it's a mixture of just execution, but also some game play calling that is, like you said, killing us in these key situations, because you turn it over on downs here and it just takes off more time from the clock and makes that comeback even more improbable. I mean, we could spend hours just analyzing these.
Your point is a lot of people are already left.
Yeah, already streaming out of the game.
Left out of the thing. But if we score here, we're back in the game. There's a lot to play. So your point is, well, I'll tell you one final point on fan reaction, and that came from Coach Deion Sanders at JSU. Okay, I know you don't like his. I do like his stuff a little bit better, and that is this. He was talking about, I can't remember if he was talking about Grambling or he was talking about Alabama State, who they had played. And he called out their fans. He goes, our fans were great that showed up on the road. Their fans were terrible, didn't show up at the game. And he called them out. So I think it's good that this gets pointed out to people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, here's a concern, and then we're moving on.
I think we spent way too much time.
Wait a minute. Well, you know what's going to be interesting, since we're talking about fan base? Georgia Tech is a noontime kickoff. We're coming off 3 straight losses.
They're not going to sell that
We're playing Georgia Tech. Well, hell no, it's not going to be a sellout. The thing is, when the camera pans around, what are they going to see in the stands?
And half-empty stadium.
Yeah, that's exactly what's going to happen. That's exactly what's going to happen. And that's what ESPN did the other night. They clipped away from it quick, but they showed people leaving the stadium in the third quarter. Okay, enough on that.
Panama Jack, I agree with you that, like I said, sometimes it's bizarre play calling. And like I said, I think, we assume Mike Norvell's calling these plays. But
he is calling him. He is calling him.
Which I think I'm starting to think that sometimes I love his play calling, and I think it's very innovative, and he does mix things up to trick more quality defenders out of their schemes. But at plays like this, it's also some of these 2 fades in a row.
That ball wasn't thrown well. It has to be thrown when he turns around. If you go back and he turns around when Johnny Wilson turns around, he has to put the ball up high so you can go up and get it.
Well, it's also
the fact when he cuts. When he cuts, stop it. When he cuts, no, go back to where if you can. I know it's hard when you're under the gun here. Wait, when he gets into his cut and he turns, that's when the ball should be on him, in my opinion. Right here. Now keep going. Now stop right there. That's when the ball should be at a height. He's got he's between him. He's got the ball in front of him. The defensive back is behind him. If that ball is put up in the air, he gets it.
Well, and that's
an opportunity to get it.
And that's the thing I'm thinking. Why does this have to be so freaking? Why do you have to try to back shoulder, make this so damn complicated? The guy is 6'7".
Right
there. 0 DB. You could have just lofted like a basketball to him in the post.
It's not a good throw.
That's what I'm saying. It seemed like they tried to make this throw more complicated, throw it in the corner. No one's going to out jump him. Just give them enough air that it hangs.
Micah Pittman or Ortel Wilson, Pokey Wilson may get that ball down low, but you got a 6'7" receiver now has to drop to his knees to get to the ball. It's not going to happen.
And Panama, I agree with you. This goes back to my point I made on Saturday night, is that where was Trey Benson? Why wasn't Trey
I got the answer to that.
To run the ball in the red zone?
I have the answer to that.
Which baffled my mind too. Is that you go to this play, go to the well, and it doesn't work, which you have to execute on 3 yards.
Now, I have a possible answer for the Trey Benson thing. First of all, I don't know why Trey Benson doesn't run it more down there in the red zone.
7 carries in the entire game and averaged 10 yards per carry.
Okay,
10.
Wait a minute. Calm down.
Stop giving the ball.
Calm down. Mike Norvell today said Benson which I didn't know. I don't think you knew. Benson was questionable coming into the game because there's
he looked damn healthy running the ball. He looked very healthy.
Well, that's what I say. He looked pretty damn good. And Norvell said that today. That's a quote, that he didn't know if he was going to play or not. He applauded him for the efforts he gave, but he only had 7 runs and he was hitting I think it was 9.9.
Yeah, it was 9.9
average.
It was ridiculous.
But I don't know why they don't feel he's big enough to be their inside runner in the goal line. That would make the defense have to pack it in, in that regard. And then your receivers are going to have one-on-one.
I'd rather give him the ball than DJ Lundy. The guy almost tripped over. We almost didn't score there because Lundy trips over Jordan Travis. Right. I love Lundy, but give Trey the ball. He's more athletic and he's just as strong.
Well, that's not their opinion.
Yeah, and Hypnotic brings up a fact. JT has regressed some. I hope he can put together. I do agree with that, and I think I brought this up too the last couple of weeks too.
What? Oh, has regressed some.
And I agree. In the beginning of the season, I trusted that every time Jordan threw the ball that it wouldn't be picked. Now I get the feeling I had last season that when he throws the ball and the camera's panning to see where the ball goes, I'm not as confident that it's going to reach the receiver. I think that a breakdown in the offensive line play, him getting a little bit more pressure in his face, getting hit, the fumbles, I think that's now starting to hit his confidence level. And like you said, now he's using his legs more. And I think it's part of the game plan as well, is use your legs more. But I think I have also seen some regression in his pass quality in terms of hitting the receiver in stride, hitting him in their hands. It's not like we saw in the LSU game. It is a little bit like we saw more last year in terms of the accuracy. But I do think he can turn it around. I think the bye week is going to help everyone get back together, get healthier on the line, and just settle everything down. I think these last 3 games are the biggest, are the most talent this team has faced too the last 3 weeks.
We have to remember
this is the best defensive lines and DBs we will face all season. So I do hope that he will be able to come back from it. But I have noticed some regression in terms of the pass quality as well.
We have to remember that he is still a developing quarterback, despite the media hype early on, should be mentioned as a Heisman Trophy candidate and all of this crap that goes on. This is no disrespect to Jordan Travis, because without Jordan Travis, we're not winning any games.
No.
Okay. So without him, we're not winning ball games. Do I think he is a great passer? Absolutely not. I'm being honest with you. No disrespect to Jordan. He is an average plus developing quarterback passer, period. His strength has always been and always will be his running ability, which he is trying to rein in a little bit, sit in the pocket and make plays. Receivers were wider open in the first 4 games than they have been in the last 3 games. So when the separation windows close down and you have to get it in there in tight windows, he is not at that level. He is not at that level.
But he showed flashes of it against LSU and that was the only quality team they faced.
LSU was a disorganized team of talented players. First game,
you can say the same thing against Florida State.
First game under a new coach. The other 3 games were warm-up games. Now we're into the big boy football. And the final 5 games are going to be big boy football. Okay, you could maybe throw out Georgia Tech and Louisiana, but I'm not going to throw anybody out. We're not going to throw. Georgia Tech has won 2 games in a row under an interim coach. Okay, so I don't think we can throw out anybody on this schedule. But Jordan Travis is a still developing quarterback. And here's the good news. Jordan Travis will be back next year. He's not going to the NFL. He's not going to the NFL. So the good news is he'll be back to lead this team. Again, somebody said, where do you think, who's our backup? Oh, DJ,
no, we don't. Say it.
Duffy. How's Duffy doing? Who cares? Travis is the quarterback.
If we're playing AJ Duffy next season, we're in trouble.
AJ Duffy. Duffy's not. Yeah, he's not
ready to play.
He's not going to play unless Travis gets injured, which is still a possibility. I've never left that possibility.
AJ didn't come in as a prospect. He shouldn't be playing for 2 years. Let's be honest. He needs time to develop his body, his skills.
Year. Right.
No, I'm saying 2 full years of development.
Okay. And Tate Rodemaker is not the quarterback of the future on his team. Tate Rodemaker is a career backup at the college level, period. Okay. That's it. Who can step in, hopefully do a halfway decent job to keep you in a game. We saw what happened to North Carolina State with their backup quarterback. Syracuse figured it out and took their offense out of the game and beat them. So that's how quick, which we should have done too. So we're getting a little off track. But good questions out there by viewers. Good question.
Let's dive into So that's the Clemson game. Let's dive into now the report card. So like I said, we're going to dive into basically halfway through the season. We got 5 games remaining, so a little bit over halfway, but it's a bye week, so it's a good time to go through it. Our position groups. So I wanted to kind of go down by the main position groups. We'll start with the offense and give our individual grades, our independent grades. And, if you're listening, you're watching out there, I would love for you guys to chime in too as we're going through each position group. And as we discuss it. So obviously, and give your points as to why.
You can lead us through this. Go ahead. Lead us through.
I thought you were prepared. The first group we're going to go through obviously is quarterbacks. And I have my thoughts on it. If we're looking at a report card of quarterbacks here, it's hard for me to say because I just did do I did trash, but I said I've seen some regression. If we're talking about the first 3 games of the season, I would have given Jordan Travis in the quarterback group. We've only seen Tate and Jordan so far, but I would have given Jordan an A or an A- to begin the season. I mean, he's been super hot to begin the season. Like you said, LSU game, he was sharp, hitting accurate balls. We didn't see many drops from the receivers, which make the quarterback look better when you're not dropping balls, obviously. But at the same time, the last couple of games, he's putting up the numbers, but we've seen the fumbles come back. We've seen some of the turnovers come back. Some of these a couple of these interceptions he's throwing, it just doesn't make sense. Those are the things that we have to avoid. So far,
you got to grade the quarterback room now.
Overall. Well, that's what I'm saying. No, the performance of the room.
Well,
I'm not just grading on. We're not grading on the talent of the room. We're grading on the performance of the room.
I said the performance of the room.
Obviously. I'm saying
the talent is the performance.
Yeah. And so that's not necessarily the case. So, and then you have Tate, who we've seen glimpses of, who came into the Louisville game and won that game for you. I mean, he's only played 1 game, really. Well, he came in kind of in garbage time and threw that 1 pick against Duquesne, I believe it was. But in Louisville game, I mean, he was the hero. He played the best game of his career so far, and I couldn't give him lower than an A- right now because you'd be with a losing record right now if it wasn't for him. You'd have 3 wins. So
what do you got?
If I give him an A-, I give Tate an A-. I'm giving Jordan Travis right now a B+. So we'll average that out I'll average it at a B+ for the quarterback group right now. I think there is, that's probably even generous.
That's all right. That's good. We got a lot of positions to go through.
I'll say B+ so far this season.
We didn't coordinate these in advance. I'm going to give it a B+. That's what I got on the room. On the room, when you put in,
as opposed to what?
when you put in the Travis performance to date, he really hasn't beaten anybody. He beat the best win we have so far out of 4 wins. No, just be quiet for a minute. Be quiet. I let you rattle on. Be quiet for a minute. Jesus, we're going to have a 2-hour show here tonight. If that's what you want, then that's what we can do. But listen, we've beaten 1 decent, talented team that was disorganized for a first game under a new coach by 1 point. And that's the quality win that Jordan Travis has this year. Okay. As you said, Tate won the other game. So he basically had an A-. I don't disagree with that and then Jordan's at a B+, but overall he's the quarterback room. So it's a B+ for me. That's my reasons. I think Jordan, I've always felt he's more of a runner than a passer. And I think we're starting to see him regress back there a little bit. And we're going to find out because we've got good quality teams to play the rest of the season. And so I give it a B+ at this point. And Panama Jack gives it a B.
Panama Jack gives it a B. Hypnotic gives it a B. Adongbe hasn't given.
But we've already said this before. Without Jordan Travis, we don't have any wins.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think I don't think it's
So,
necessarily if you
no.
win the game that you grade the quarterback by that, because a
No,
lot of
no,
other
of
things
course
have to
not.
go right.
Of course not. Of
for
course
you to
not. We're
win
going to
ball
go
games.
through these other. Okay. So
but
next.
yeah. So running backs, I think, like I said, the running back room's deep. Trayshawn Ward, the running back. When we first started the season, you had the three-headed monster.
Well, that was against Duquesne.
Okay.
That was
agreed.
born out of Duquesne. That's
Agreed.
a fact.
Well, agreed.
It's
You
a
still have the
fact.
number one rushing attack in the ACC, I believe. If I see the
Yeah, we're at
most recent
the
stats.
current stats.
I mean,
we're
you rushed
nationally
for
we're ranked
206.
26. Yeah,
You rushed for 206 against Clemson.
Officially, okay, but
Against
officially we're averaging 204 yards, and we're ranked 26 nationally.
And
out of
you,
the
you just got done facing NC State.
No, it's good. I'm not challenging you on the
Clemson.
grade.
So
You didn't even put out your grade
I
yet.
think we have a quality room. I think I really like what I've seen from Trey Benson this year. I really like I actually have been super surprised from Toa Philly. I honestly wrote Toa Philly off last season. I thought he was too small. I didn't think he could be a true running back in the system. I thought he had to be a receiver or something. I thought you had to move him into the receiver room, but I've been impressed with the progression he's made as a running back. And then we have, and then you had Ward, who, he's just a solid back. He just does everything. He'll runs hard.
Back. The whole room will be back.
Come off the injury, but before the injury, he was on fire. So I got to give that room an A-. Like I said, the only thing that's missing from him is the goal line plays, being able to punch those balls in consistently from the goal line, and that's some of that's coaching, and a couple of drops out the backfield that we saw, but some of that's passing too. But I would say an A- overall for that group.
God, okay, I've got it written down. I got all these written down. You can see I got an A- as well. I mean, this is not coordinated in advance, but I think we're seeing kind of the same thing. Here's the good news. Tell me if I'm wrong.
I will.
That whole room is coming back with a Rodney Hill, who from all indications is doing well.
Yeah.
Okay. But we're talking about performance now. We're not talking about performance next year, next season. So the performance, I agree with you. I'm not going to rehash that. With Ward down, then Tuafili and Benson have to pick it up. As I said, Benson had some kind of injury coming in that we're unaware of. I don't know where that injury is because no information comes out. I'm going to give the room an A-. Panama Jack gives it a B+.
Yeah, Hypnotic, Panama Jack, give it a B+, and Donga gives it a B+ too. So we got B+s across the board.
That's fair. I think we're good there.
The only reason, an A-, you have 2 of the top 10 ACC rushers, and they're all splitting carry. You have 3 splitting carries.
But my minus, you know what my minus is? My minus is we don't really have, unless you put Ja'Kai Douglas back there, which is possible, but you don't need him back there now. We don't have a back that can really swing out and catch good passes. We don't really have that guy. You look, well, let's not take time to look it up. He doesn't have that many catches out of the backfield. I'm talking a guy I'm talking about a guy that makes the defense account for him.
He has 12 receptions. He has 12 receptions this season.
Who does? Tuafili?
Yes.
That's not bad. Not bad. Okay.
Only for 88 yards, but
okay. That's we're all pretty good. B+, A-. That's pretty good.
All right, so we're looking at receivers now, the receiving group. Like I said,
not including tight ends. Not including tight ends.
Not including tight ends.
Okay.
If we were looking at receiving group to start the season, like I said, I would have had a totally different grade for this. Now I've also seen some regression. So, quarterback and receiver go together, right? And those things regress together often. So with that, and you're looking at, I'm just pulling up stats for everyone watching out there for ACC receiving. You see who's up there. Obviously, you don't see a ton of you see one Florida State receiver, Johnny Wilson, of course. He's been the star of the group. I've seen some regression from him. I really like what I see from Micah, but I feel like underutilizing him. It's a really deep room, and you're trying to find who really is the go-to guy. Johnny Wilson has been kind of neutralized, in my opinion, in terms of being a touchdown catcher.
Because he's the only guy getting targeted most of the time now in the games. I'd like to see his total targets.
But then you're seeing guys like Kentron show up. You're seeing other weapons. Malik McClain goes hot and cold. You'll see him catch a couple balls, and you won't see him for the rest of the game. It's either it's a really deep room or guys are just being inconsistent and getting open. I can't figure it out
yet.
So overall, I'm going to give the receiving room a B, a solid B. I think they performed. I have seen a couple of drop balls the last few weeks that should have been caught. and it could have been first downs and continue drives. I think it's really, I mean, last year's receiving group probably is a C minus. So I think it's a big progression. I think they can get even better, but I got to give it a B right now.
Okay. I'm going to give it a B too. I got it right here, dude. I'm going to give it a B because I think we're targeting Johnny Wilson too much. I put that out on Twitter. I said, I think defenses are starting to say, okay, that's who they target. He's up here in the national rankings. He's getting most of the targets. He's got 27 receptions. So we got to spread the ball around.
Well,
I think we got to find out if a guy like Kentron Portier, I hear he does great in practice. Mike Norvell says he does great in practice. The local pressers, beat reporters say, oh, Kentron catches everything. Well, he's a big guy. Get him out there. Target him a little bit more. Pokey Wilson shows up some games, and then you don't see him at all. I don't know where. He's a reliable. He has got good hands. Micah Pittman, good hand guy. We need to spread the ball out a little bit more. We're getting too close targets on Wilson. It's going to hurt us moving forward. And Keyshawn Hilton, the guy is gone. I don't know where he is. He's on the sidelines. He's on the team. He must have felt this is a lost year and it's the end of my career here. You know, I don't know what the hell's happening.
Okay, I don't.
And Deuce Spann, is he a
he's
grad?
a development.
No,
he's a development. No, he's young.
Okay. He's not even finding the field. So some of these guys, here's what I'm telling you. And Malik McClain, some of these guys will not be in that running back room. In the wide receiver room come next season. Okay. They're going to go somewhere to play.
That can be a whole.
You don't think Kentron Portier can go find another team and play on it? Sure he can. Sure he can.
I agree. But I think, like you said, they either needs to game plan better or guys are. We don't see the full tape. We don't see this cam view of either these guys are not getting open or not. So it's a question of, like I said, are they not getting open or not being schemed to the game? The room, I think, is a little bit too deep, too. I think there's just too many capable receivers, and guys aren't getting even playing time. So I think there's some of that, too. Yeah. Panama Jack gives it a B minus for receivers, Hidnock a B, and Dangby gives it a B as well. So, but I think, Dangby says it's a potential of A minus. I do believe that this group can get better. But
A
to
minus.
Your points, it can potentially get be an A minus. I do agree with that. I do think, to your point, Johnny Wilson, I honestly think ACC teams aren't respecting Johnny Wilson anymore. You saw in that clip I brought up before.
We're going one-on-one with him.
They're going one-on-one with him. When we see
no help from the safeties.
And I think that's concerning to me that if we see that on the field and we can't convert first and goal in the red zone, one-on-one with Johnny Wilson, what the hell are we doing? We can't convert that. This guy's 6'7". Then ACC defenses definitely are. So we have to find another playmaker within this offense.
And you can't. And when you're in the red zone, you can't just keep going to the back corner fade. They figured that out. That's what they like to do. Fake the back fade and cut across the middle, which he loves to do. Yeah, he's a guy who's got to go across the middle. He's 6'7", 240 pounds. He's got to go across the middle, and he enjoys catching the ball there. Yeah. So do it there.
Okay. Then we move on to the tight end group,
and then the O-line. Yeah, we
got a lot less activity in this group. I keep saying it, but I think earlier in the year we saw more activity out of Cam, a little bit out of Preston. One guy
Cam McDonald has disappeared.
That's what I'm saying. Early in the season, it felt like he was getting more involved in the game. And then
in the passing game.
And then recently, not at all. You can see some of the receptions here by group.
The one guy is it scheme that they're not going to get many passes? It's part of the double tight end sets for the running game, which helps your running game. But
Cam's the fourth receiver on the team. He's the fourth leading receiver on the team, so we can't say he's totally out of the game plan. Look at it. In terms of reception, he's got the fourth most yards on the team. It's not a lot.
7 games.
I know.
And he's got 12 catches.
So you should be concerned then. Are you concerned that he's
I'm not concerned with him. If I'm a defensive coach, I'm not concerned with him. I'm not concerned with him. I'm not concerned with anybody in the tight end group because they're not using them.
So
and I think that's part of Mike Norvell to use them as blockers. But when you do that, and we're not going to get into recruiting, you're not going to bring in guys, tight ends that want to catch balls here.
What's your grade then?
My grade for tight ends is a B minus. because it's based on how they're being used. And when the ball comes their way, they're generally catching it. Cam's had a couple of drops, but generally a B. That's an intrigue. Hypnotic says C. I don't think it's all their fault.
Yeah. And thank you,
See,
Jack.
Panama Jack, the gentleman, that's me. I'm the gentleman. You're damn sure not the gentleman.
You're the old man.
Panama Jack,
You're the old man.
Me, the old man. He agrees with me. I think it's Art's strategy.
With your grades, though, so C, you give it a C?
No, I gave it a B minus because
our community is a little bit tougher on the group. Cannot give us a C. Somebody gives a C minus. They should be utilized more to catch block. I agree with that.
Yeah, but tell a dogby, it's not their fault if they're not being targeted. If their role is to block, then you got to get some guys that can block, and some of those guys do make it to the next level. They do make it to the next level. There have been tight ends at Florida State who didn't catch many balls, and they went on to the next level.
But how many balls have you seen Cam drop? Remember the one that hit him right in the hands? He wasn't paying attention.
I know. Well, that's why I give it a B.
Hit him in the hands. He wasn't paying attention.
Okay,
for a touchdown.
I've explained.
So he is being schemed.
I explained it, and I give it a B minus. But I'm not going to put as much as a Dagby put on it, saying, "Well, a C minus," because it's not their fault.
It's not their fault that he doesn't know where the ball is on the field.
No,
what are you talking about? Balls are literally hitting Cam in the chest and in the hands. He doesn't know where the ball is.
They're not in the passing game that much, and it's gonna. We can't bring in guys that want to catch passes.
Just because you're not Notre Dame, you're not passing the tight end every other down, doesn't mean you shouldn't be prepared when the ball comes your way.
No, but I think it's a great part of the offense because they have to be accounted on. I don't think they're really accounting for those guys.
And Hypnotic thinks the tight end blocking has been mediocre. So that's why they're saying lower.
Yeah, I don't have enough information, Hypnotic, to really break that down and see. I don't know.
The only positive, I would give him a C too. The only reason I'd say it's maybe on the upswing is I like what I see from Marquise and Douglas. I think
he is a load. I like that one ball he got. That was unbelievable.
And he was recruited as more of an athlete to play tight end. Like he has pretty.
He had 1 year of high school ball.
Yeah, exactly. He's more of a development project, but I like what I see from him. He's more of a prototypical. I think Mike Norvell type of guy, which is why
I do too.
So I like what I see from him, but it's concerning that you only have one touchdown out of your tight end group. I mean, that's that's a position you should be able to use in the red zone as well.
Right.
A big body.
It doesn't help you to recruit. Okay.
Yeah. So,
all right. O-line. O-line. Let me start with the O-line.
Yeah.
The O-line was hyped coming in. It's hyped because of Coach Atkins, who I think is doing as good a job as he can. There was a tweet earlier today or the last couple of days. Coach Atkins is going to be a phenomenal head coach someplace. And this guy, and I don't totally agree with that. Okay. I think Coach Atkins is a very effective and productive line coach, given what he's been handed over the last 2 or 3 seasons. Coming into COVID, it was tough. He had to go to the portal. He's brought guys in. Some of the guys he expected to be starters have been injured from day one. So it's been a tough grind for the O-line. He's relying on 5 to 6 bodies in there right now. He said this. I watched his presser. He's effective in the presser I saw today. I was a little bit more impressed. And he was very candid. He goes, there's guys, what we do is we break down the tape. We break down the tape on each guy, and we point out 3 consistent things that guy is not doing during that game or during certain plays. I thought that was an impressive way because we don't get those behind the scenes look. And I like that. He's trying, but the way he talked about schemes sometimes, he's talking about, well, we tell the guy during the, on the tape reviews, well, when a guy flashes across, what do you do? Well, shit, it sounded so complicated. He said Robert Scott couldn't get from group A to group B in the offensive line. They had a advanced group and a regular group. And for a long time, Robert Scott just could not put it together, but he's put it together now. And he's getting a lot better. The problem is with Coach Atkins, I'm not sure how long he's going to be here because he's a good recruiter. He relates well to the kids. And the way he went to that presser, he's very honest with these kids.
Yeah. That's why he recruits well.
So that has nothing to do with the way I'm grading it. I think the line is average. I think it was overhyped. I'm going to give it a C+ on performance to date.
Yeah.
C+.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know who hyped up the offensive line. I think you're putting more into that than anyone else. I've
No, I
heard.
think it was all hyped up.
Okay, you need to send some
Okay.
sources of it.
It was
I think the hype was the line would progress, and I think the line has progressed. There was still he inherited an empty cupboard from Willie Taggart, and
Okay.
I can't even remember who our offensive line coach was under him.
Okay,
because
but
it
a
was
C
so
is
bad.
an average. Is average.
Yeah,
I give it a C plus.
I
I
think
give it a C plus.
yeah, I think. Are you taking injuries and are you?
Everything.
You're taking
I'm
everything
taking
into
the
consideration.
performance of the room.
So Hypnotic gives it a C. Panama Jack gives it a B minus. I think I got to go with a C plus on this. I think they've done okay so far. I think once again I've seen a little bit of regression once we got into the meat of our schedule against tougher defensive lines. I think it's been inconsistent. Sometimes pass blocking isn't consistent, run blocking is not consistent. But that's what you get with an average line. That's what you get with an average line. You're not going to get consistent performance every down, every play, every game. And so that's why
I give them the plus based on the rushing. I mean, this team is a good rushing football team. Okay. Like I said, we're averaging 204 yards nationally, ranked 26th. So you've got to give them credit for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now the pass blocking, I think, is another issue, and that's why they get the C. The plus comes from the rush. So
yeah, I would agree. And losing guys like Les Harris, I mean, you lost.
You lost
Lyles from Wisconsin,
Lyles
center. So you've had to shift a lot of guys around. But like you said, the rushing stats are a big indicator of how far you've come.
However, most of these guys will be back except for Gibbons, right? Yeah. Who else is not coming back? Bliss probably is going to get a red shirt.
You would think you get an injury red shirt.
I think he'll get a red shirt year. Lyles will have a red shirt year.
Yeah.
Right. So you're going to have a pretty good room next year.
You should have deep, and then you should
have
actually guys like
year.
Julian Armella, maybe potentially playing.
Right.
So you have some potential there, and you have depth. Like I'm going to say you have depth, more quality depth than you've had before. But like you said, we're basing on performance, and I think that's the only good thing is that if we had this many injuries maybe 2 seasons ago, I don't think we totally would be off the track. But we have more depth than we've had in the past, which is good. That's kept us somewhat afloat, even though we've lost 3 games straight.
Okay.
So you give the B minus, right? Or what was your grade?
I gave it a C plus.
C plus, and I gave I think a same C minus.
All right, you ready to go to defense?
Yep,
and then
we'll do defense on the back or special teams on the back end. So defensive tackles. You can
defensive line, interior, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, defensive tackle. Start defensive tackle first.
I start defensive tackles, the interior now. We're not talking about the edge rushers.
No.
We're not talking about DNs.
No.
Defensive line, interior, C minus. I think they're getting crushed inside. Yeah. Whether it's Cooper, and despite his races with which are fun races with Norvell, and they wouldn't take my $500 challenge. I'm still a little pissed about that. And that offer went out there, but now it has shifted, but it's still out there. I'll write a check if they want to race, and they will write one if they lose. Cooper it's really hard to tell from our vantage point, but it looks ineffective to me, or not as effective, but better than average. Fabian Lovett is now just trying to come back. He's going to be on limited snaps. It looks like he'll play against Georgia Tech. But how effective is he going to be game shape wise for the next 5 games? I think that's limited. I think it's limited.
Yeah.
So given that interior, guys have stepped up a little bit. We've had Dennis Briggs move inside, Joshua Farmers move, Malcolm Ray. They're all young guys. They're getting valuable snaps. But the rushing defense ranked 84th nationally. FBS, giving up 157 yards a game. Okay. They're not getting off the field. They're ranked 61st on third downs. Ranked 61st. 37% of the time they're getting off the field. I give them a C minus.
Yeah. Hidnot gives a C. Panama Jack gives a C. He brought up a good point. Just briefly back to the O-line. Robert Scott may be the only one that could go to the NFL draft.
No way. Not ready.
If he gets maybe a 5th or 6th round grade, he may leave.
Yeah, he would. Saying. Yeah, no way. He'd he needs to come back for another year, even based on what I heard from Coach Adkins today.
Well, that'll be something to watch, but that could be the one, like you said, that maybe. Yeah, I think a C is a fair grade. I think, like you said, it's been a mixture. That was a position group. I think, to your point, what you said before about the O-line, that was actually hyped up. That was a position group that said, you're solid. Like, you're going to have that together. You're going to have no issues there. You got the trench monster. You're going to be solid, right?
Yeah.
And it's been a group that over the past 3 weeks has been gashed. Teams have been able to run it down your throat, it seems like, when it matters the most. And that's the most depressing part. And I know you've lost some
against
guys.
First downs, the D-line, 84th in the country,
which is
giving up first downs.
And it's a great point. And that's where you're killing yourself. And it's depressing, because I thought it would be the opposite. I thought our DBs would be struggling, even though we have talent there. I just never trust our DBs. But we're getting less tested down the field. We're just getting tested on the defensive line. They're trying to see how much they can move our line, how much they can run through the middle of it, and it's been working for the most part. I mean, what's his name? The running back last week had 120 yards rushing the ball. And he's 5'9". He's this little guy, and I know that doesn't matter for anything. But it's just like we're just getting beat up the middle. So I give him a C-.
Okay.
I give him a C-.
Right. DNs, edge rushers.
So I'll start. I know you don't agree with me. I've liked what I've seen from Jared Verse, even though it's in limited fashion.
He's like how you can say that. I like Jared Verse, but how can you say that? I don't even know how the analyst. Who's that NFL guy?
He leads the team.
He's ranking him.
He leads the team in sacks, and he's only played 3.5 games.
How many? He's just not there. I don't see it.
Look, the stats don't lie though. When he's on the field, he makes a difference. That's the key thing. And I like what I see from Derek McClellan. I think he's played a lot better this season. I like what we have on Patrick Payton. I think.
So what do you give?
Like I said, I think the only thing I don't like about them is that sometimes they don't complete the play, or they break contain. They let the quarterback break contain. So I think there's things to work on. But from what I've seen, and I think there's great potential, I think I give them a solid B from that group so far.
Okay, I disagree. I give it a C. I think it's an average. Edge rushers, they don't have the production. We're not going to get into Jermaine Johnson and Keir Thomas. We're not going to get into that. But I like Jared Verse, but Jared Verse just came up from Albany. He's played 7 football games. He's been injured in 2 or 3 of them. He's on the field laying down a lot. So he's had some injury problems. This kid is not ready to go to the NFL. I don't care. I don't care what these experts. Oh, he's going to be the number 29 in the draft. That's all BS. He is not ready. If he tries to leave this year, it's a mistake. Okay, it's a mistake. He may be thinking, God, I'm always injured.
Okay, we're not here just to talk about Jared Verse.
But Jared Verse,
guys.
Okay, I'm saying it's a C at best.
Why?
They don't have the sacks that I expected them to have, and they're not holding the edge the way I expected them to have. And so that's why I give it a C.
And that's exactly what Hidnock said. I would agree with you on that point. I believe they do need to better set that edge. And you know what?
Even Adam Fuller said that Verse, he's been coming back from different injuries. He's missing some time in practice. And he was rusty setting the edge, Hypnotic. That's what Adam Fuller said. And he said it in a nice way. But what do you think he really sees? He's not setting the edge well at all.
No.
You don't think the NFL sees that shit on tape unless they just want him to be an edge rusher off the field?
Well, I could see him being just a situation player if he wants to go that route.
But you know what? He is then going against the best elite offensive lineman in football.
Okay, we don't need to talk. This isn't the Jared Verse show. So
he's not tearing these guys up.
I think.
Okay.
But I agree with Hammer Jack.
And I like Jared Verse.
I like Patrick Payton a lot. I think that guy has huge potential.
A huge potential.
His length, he's got to put on some weight, but his length.
Derek McClendon doing a great job.
I like Patrick Payton's upside. I like McClendon's upside. I think it's a good group. And if you bring some more bodies in here, I think they're putting on good tape to recruit.
This whole room could be back, but that's not what we're talking about now.
So the general consensus is B. Everyone gave it a B. Okay, I agree with you there. You gave it a C. So, and then linebackers. So looking at the linebacker group, I think for the most part, we said some good things about the linebacker group. Tatum Bethune has been probably one of the stud transfers you brought in. The guy just plays his butt off every single week. I love the way that he plays. He's just a solid player. That's what you need to get out of the portal. When you take the portal's a risk, right? Especially when you're, because you don't know what you're going to get. A lot of these guys.
But FSU's done well in the portal. So
I agree. With Bethune, he's coming up from UCF. Sometimes that level of competition, but you got a solid player. That guy makes plays. Sometimes he missed, a couple plays last week. I think he missed the whole.
He's not flashy, but he's steady. Yeah, he got beat on a pass pattern. But
that's
a lot of
linebackers
that's not
his strength, though. That is not his strength, though.
A lot of linebackers get beat on those plays.
I just like the way he plays. He's consistent. He wraps up. He tackles well. That's the linebacker you need, and it was a great pickup by them. I also like the way Deloach has played this year. I think.
I agree.
I think he's really made strides in his game. The guy sometimes looks like a heat-seeking missile. The way he's fast and he's strong, and he's gotten a lot stronger. And his speed, like you said, is something that has really. I didn't notice that last year. And the way they've been able to put him as a spy on some of these mobile quarterbacks has sometimes made a difference in the game, which I really love about him.
And you know what? That benefits Kevin Deloach. You know why? Because the next level up, that's the new type of quarterback. The guy who's running that RPO, the guy who can run, use his legs. So a fast linebacker like Kevin Deloach is probably going to get a real good look. I don't think this year, but he might. But I think this whole room comes back except Bethune, right? He can't come back, right?
No, he's exhausted. He's done. But I like you said with Deloach, the way they use him for blitzing situationally, he leads the second in the team in sacks. So he makes the most of those opportunities. So I gotta say,
Deloach, Deloach could leave and go out as a linebacker, make the special teams like Tatum Bethune. A lot of these guys will make special teams at the next level because they have to make it on special teams and then back up other linebackers. Both those guys have enough speed, especially Deloach.
Yeah, I'm going to say, I thought, too, also with DB, I thought linebacker would be a weakness like it has been in the past. But I think our linebackers have been less of a weakness this year than in past years. I think it has been an improved group. I'm going to give them
thank God for that reason, because the interior line is getting pounded. And if you don't have those linebackers there, you got big problems.
I would agree with that.
That's why they're getting a lot of tackles.
I would agree with that. So I'm going to give them a solid B. I'm going to solid B.
Okay, I'll give it a B minus. Yeah, I give it a B minus. Yeah, I'm with Hypnotic there. I give it a B minus based on what I've said.
Yeah, Don B gives it a C plus, B minus. Panama Jack C plus. Like you said, to Panama Jack's point, linebackers definitely need to work on coverage. That's been a weakness of the team for a while. And I do think some of that is just based on quality of depth, too. I think we're trying to recruit better at that position for a more athletic linebacker, and we just haven't been able to get those guys.
Well, as an offensive coach, you're always trying to get those matchups. Yeah. And that's where these elite tight ends come in, because they're matching up against these linebackers. And that can be problematic. But I think we're all right in the same area on that.
But you give it again? I give it a B, and you give it a...
I gave it a B minus.
B minus and B.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
And then you got DBs. Okay, I'll start with the DBs. I think they've done well, given that we don't have that much of a pass rush up front. Okay, I haven't been impressed with our pass rush up front. I think the statistics prove it out as well, that the DBs are doing a pretty good job when they're having to run around for 4 seconds out there. At 4 or 5 seconds, I think they're doing a pretty good job, even though there have been games where they gave up some long distance third down plays. Okay. But overall, it's a young group, except for Jamie Robinson, who's going to go to the next level. I don't see anyone else in that room ready to go to the next level in the DB area. I really don't see anybody.
I think Jamie Robinson probably.
And Jamie Robinson, I think he's not a senior though. He could come back.
I think he's a junior, but I think he could go.
He's ready to go.
He's ready to go.
He's ready to go. I think he'll go. I give it a B minus. B minus.
Like I said, B minus. All right. Like I in our previous shows weeks ago, I thought DB was probably our weakest group, but there were some. There what I believed it was going to be, and I still think there is some weakness there. The group really hasn't been tested a lot, though, and when they are tested, it's kind of a 50-50 sometimes. Clemson got us on the flea flicker or stuff like that. there hasn't, in my opinion, been huge plays put on them. It's not like they're.
I think, the other teams are rushing the football.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They don't have to. They don't have to throw it deep and try to make an explosive play.
Yeah.
Akeem Dent, he is what he is. I don't think he's going to be an all-star caliber player here. You have what you have in him. Jamie Robinson.
Greedy Vance hasn't really done much. Jones hasn't done a whole bunch.
Jamie Robinson's probably the only guy that's solid on your team, and they don't throw to him. They don't throw to his side.
Duke Cooper hasn't flashed that much. He's holding up. But overall,
Renardo Green is
Renardo Green's played a lot.
He's hit and miss though in his playmaking. So I
Sam
feel like
McCall's not playing at all. He's a young player, but he's not even out there that I see. Maybe he's out there. I don't see him out there that much, but
no, in terms of statistically, he's not making a huge.
You kind of wonder about that. I kind of wonder about that a little bit. Well,
he's not showing something.
He came in as he was a 4-5 star guy.
That doesn't mean you're going to play.
It means maybe you're going to play, but he has kind of disappeared.
Yeah, the only thing I was going to add, and then Hypnotic just said it, is the guy I've been impressed with was Shaheem. Shaheem's been Shaheem
Brown's and
the way they've used him. They've used him more in that blitzing fashion, like they have Deloach, in terms of coming from the secondary and rushing up. And from what I've seen from on a couple of those plays, I like Shaheem, and he was one of those guys who got late in the recruiting cycle, and he's a high star talent guy, and he's played like it when he's had his opportunities. And I expect the same from Sam McCall when he gets more opportunities.
I expect there may be some guys in that room that a couple of guys may check out in the portal to see if they can find more playing position. Because likely we're going to go to the portal and bring in a guy or two in some of these rooms. So
I don't know about that, but I do think, like you brought up at the beginning, and Panama Jack's saying, is that some of those big plays are caused by a quarterback having 4 or 5 seconds in the pocket, and there being
you can't run with a guy that long.
No,
you can't expect to run with guys.
I think that's been a major issue, is that a lot of these quarterbacks aren't being brought down, and they're saying that pocket. You're saying 4-man rush, you can't get the guy down or can't break down the pocket, and the guy stands there and finally finds a guy. You can't expect your DBs to run for a guy for 4 seconds. It's not.
Yeah. Now let me just quickly, since we're wrapping up the defense here, because these numbers now start to mean something.
What was your grade? Did you even give a grade?
Yeah, I gave him B-.
B-. All right.
Yeah, B-.
I'm giving a C+.
Because I think between the linebackers and the DBs, they're actually holding this defense together, which is being held together by Band-Aids at times. The bend, but don't break. It's bending and breaking, because when you look at this number in the red zone defense, this is when we're on defense. The other teams, we're ranked 98th in red zone defense.
That's not good.
98th, 88% of the time they're scoring. We're being scored upon 88% of the time.
And it's bad because then when our offense is in the red zone, we can't convert. So we're killing ourselves both ways. We can't stop people from scoring in the red zone, and we can't score when we're in the red zone.
When you look at that,
that's how you lose games. That's how you
Well, when you add these numbers up, we're not in the top. Yeah, in scoring offense on defense, we're ranked 45th. 45th, we're giving up 23 points a game. Other than that, everything else is out of the top 50 on defense. So this defense, it's the numbers now start to mean something, and a lot of those numbers are accumulating on the last 3 games. And that the LSU game and the last 3, those are the top 4 games you really played. Yeah, and and those numbers start.
Let's not act like. I mean, Florida State has the number 10 strength of schedule, I think. So let's not act like we've just played cupcakes all year. Like you said, we've played 4 very good teams, and there's a lot of teams out there that haven't played that quality. So you can't say the stats in between don't matter. Like you said, 4 of the games really have the metrics that matter.
But now the metrics are starting to fall into place now. Yeah. Because do you think those numbers are going to improve that much on defense in the next 5 games?
I think they will. I think they'll get better.
You think they're going to get better?
The quality of competition is lowering. It's not getting better. It's leveling off.
What the hell are you talking about?
You don't think Georgia Tech is a better quality team than NC State and Clemson and Wake Forest? You think that high-powered Georgia Tech offense is going to run all over us?
I don't know.
You think that?
I think.
You think that Louisiana offense, just built like Wake Forest, is
I don't know what their record is, but I saw. I'm I'm not going to poo-poo it.
The level of competition is not the same with the past 3 weeks. It's good, but it's not.
Okay. How many games? If these numbers level off, if these numbers level off on defense in the numbers I've read off to you, okay, and they're not pretty, how many games do we win out of that 5? That's a whole question with this defense.
We're
going to have to outscore people.
I tweeted it out. I said realistically, you should shoot to try to win 3 games over the next 5. That should be your goal. That is 6.
Well, we should win Georgia Tech and Louisiana. That's what we should win.
That's what I'm saying. And if you beat Florida or Miami, that's 3. If you win 3 of those 5 games, then that's a success. That's what you should be.
And that's another show sometime. That's another show. But yeah, okay. And so let's go to special teams real quick.
Yeah, lastly, it's special teams.
I'll lead it. I'll start off.
Yeah.
So I give special teams. What's that say? That's what
Mike Norvell needs to work on red zone offense.
Well, he always does. He does Panama Jack. I listen to all the pressers, which are kind of boring. It's all coaching 101. He is a motivator. Mike Norvell is a positive guy. At least that's what he shows to the press. And I think that's what he does to the players. But he's more of a positive guy than an old school guy. He's the new, this is how I have to treat the softer generation. And that's what we have. And that, is that. But C+ special teams. C+. Here's why. Kickoffs. Fitzgerald. Except for the one I saw the other day, and the guy ran it back like 80 yards because he didn't kick it through the damn end zone. He's generally been kicking it pretty good on kickoffs. A-. Kick returns. I think we're about a B on that. Maybe a C+ to a B on kick returns. We're not fumbling it on the kickoff return.
No, we're
not giving the ball over on that. The punt returns, I give that a B. Pittman's been doing a pretty good job. He's either letting it bounce or he's catching it, and he's not fumbling it when it hits his chest. And field goals, D+.
Mm-hmm.
D+, because we don't have faith in our kicker. He's missed some kicks, and here's where he gets the plus. We haven't had to put the game on the line on his foot yet.
Yeah, I mean,
at the end of the game. So overall, I'll give it a C+.
A C+. All right. Well, I think, that's pretty generous considering all things. But like you said, you have to look at the full picture. I sort of expected a little bit more from Mike at this point. I do think when he does collect the ball and catches it on the fly, I do think good things happen. So that's been the positive sign. I think he runs hard. He can see the routes, and we've seen some flashes of what he can do when he has the ball. Some returns have been brought back to the holding or stuff like that. But I think what I've seen from the greatest thing I've seen from him so far is that no fumbles, which seemed like a concern every game last season and the year before. So that's been positive. The other thing is, you have your first kick return touchdown in how many seasons? 5, 10 plus years from Trey Benson. So I think that's a positive sign. Then you look at the kicking game, and that's just a disaster. Let's just be honest with you. Kid is he's kicking 50%, which is it's not good, and it's definitely cost you games because A, it's either costing you games because you don't have points on the board, or B, it's costing you games because you can't put him on the field to get those points, and then C, it's costing you because you're having to scheme around your own player.
I think there's a game coming where he's going to be put in the fire line, and we'll see how he does.
Yeah, and I think, the Clemson game could have been that. The Clemson game, there was probably opportunities where maybe you take the points, but you don't trust him enough to put him on the field. So I think in that game, it definitely cost you. And it's definitely altering the game plan. I think it's cost you over and over.
Well, especially when you're fourth down, when you're going on fourth down and you're ranked 123rd, 4 out of 13 attempts, 31% when you're having to go for something on fourth down because you can't kick it.
Yeah. And Jack, that's a good point on defense, sudden change defense, because Mike does take those fourth down chances and sometimes does get bailed out by his defense often. So
not a lot though.
Well, NC State game, to his point, was a good example of that. But back to such teams, like I said, I would probably give it a C, just a solid C. There's definitely places where you can get better. Ryan has the ability to get better. We talked about it last week or 2 weeks ago, where he's going back to his old kicking motion, and then he hit the 45 or 47
Why would you
yarder.
change your kicking motion?
I don't know.
You got recruited. You got
I don't know.
recruited from high school on what you did there performance-wise. Why do you start tweaking it? What idiot told him to start changing? That's a major change when you go from 3 steps to 2 steps. I mean, that's a major change.
Yeah, and I think there's we could have given Fitzgerald a shot at the NC State game, like you said, or as Hypnotic says, Panama Jack says, we need to hopefully give Ryan a boost of confidence in the Georgia Tech game. I do think you have to come out of this bye week in this side. To Panama Jack's point, are we going to move forward with the strategy of not kicking unless it's guaranteed or looks guaranteed within 20 yards, or are we going to go back and say, Ryan, you're way back to your old motion? We're going to put you back in the game plan. If it's 45 yards or in, we're going to put you on the field and you're going to go get his points.
Well, there are certain game situations. There's going to be certain game situations. He's going to have to put him in to kick the ball.
Well, I think to Panama Jack's point, I think you have to put confidence and say, we're going to give you a clean slate going off the bye week. If we see a good opportunity where you could have kicked it last year, we're going to put you on the field and give you a shot. Clean slate.
He hit one this year.
That's
47, right?
Well, last week he did. But then game kind of got out of hand. So I think to that point, I think we should try to give him another shot at consistently kicking for us. And then, so I would give him, and Donovan gives a good breakdown: kicking D+, returns B-, punts C+, punt returns
fair.
B. I think that's a fair assessment. And I think that averages out. So
I like this crowd, man. We've had a good crowd, very candid, very upfront. This is, and they fit in well with our show here.
I think that's a good average right there, what you have there, and that probably goes in line with what I'm thinking too.
Yeah. Okay, let me add this, because let me add this. This is about penalties, national rank. We're 97th now. That has crept up. That number is creeping up, and that's not good. 97th.
Last week, you played pretty clean though.
For the most part, 64 yards of penalties per game now. Turnover margin. This is a key, and it tells us why we're 4-3 as well. Turnovers margin 0, meaning as many turnovers you've gotten, you've given up. So we have a 0 there. You're not in the plus column, which also tells you these numbers start to tell you why you have a 4-3 record.
Yeah, but turnovers are a lot of times luck too, in terms of generating. Yes, they are.
Yeah, but that's interception. Part of the ball game.
But that's luck. Luck is not
what creates wins and losses.
A ball being knocked up in the air and being caught somebody, that a lot of those are luck in terms of the bouncing going either way. A DB could have 12 interceptions last season, have 3 this season. That doesn't make him less of a player.
But good teams make their luck. Good teams make their luck, mister.
We're still, we have our crew talking about the NC State game and that kick. So I don't want no more special teams. I don't want to go back to special teams because it does hurt me. But so we've got our final grades. Overall, I think averaging them out.
Yeah. Did you give an overall? What did you get?
Yeah, I gave a C+. A C+.
Yeah, I gave.
I gave C. I gave him a C. A standard C.
Okay, I gave a C+.
Yeah.
I gave a C+. They're 4-3. They've got, in my opinion, one quality win, and that was over the LSU team. They've played competitively against the 3 losses. Okay, that means something. They haven't been blown out by anybody. Okay, which is a good thing. It's a good thing, and so that's what I see as a C+. We're an average plus team, and the next 5 games are going to be important because you're playing for the state championship now. That means something. I always used to say I could lose every game, but I want to beat Florida and Miami. You talk about hype. You talk about pressure. Now you're talking in your state. And that state championship means something. Okay?
Yeah.
The bet, and then we're going to finish here. But you have to split that. You got to beat one of them. If you lose to both of those teams, I don't give a shit which bowl game you go to. It's not a good year.
Yeah. No.
You could beat Georgia Tech. You could beat Louisiana and go to some low-tier bowl game. But if you lose to both Florida and Miami, not good.
Yeah.
Not good.
Yeah, and we'll post our grades so you guys can comment and give your own as well. But here's the breakdown for the offensive side of the ball. I think we gave pretty fair grade, and once again, it'll be interesting at the end of the season to see how our grades change overall, and see if we give better second half grades. But to your point, and here's on the defensive side as well. But to your point, I think a lot of things have to go Florida State's way, and I really, really think that this fan base needs to be realistic in terms of what Florida State can do in the next 5 games. I do think they'll come back healthier. I do think they'll come back focused. But realistically, you need to try to win 3 games out of the next 5. That is a success in my mind. If you can beat Georgia Tech, if you can beat Georgia Tech, Louisiana, and then Miami or Florida, that's a win in my mind. That is because this team was not projected to win more than 7 games. The Vegas odds was 6.5, maybe 7. That's got to be the goal for you. I think the team got a little bit overhyped in the media and our own fan base when we started 4-0 and we hadn't even reached the toughest part of our schedule yet. And now we went 0-3, which is the doomsday scenario. But keep in mind, that's what we had kind of projected on this program, that I projected we would lose the 3 straight games. So, but I do think the talent level of teams we're facing does level off. And to Hypnotic's points, I think our stats will get somewhat better, but I care less. I'd rather us win every game and statistically do awful as long as we win the games. But I think the talent level of who we're playing does drop off a little bit. It doesn't drop off totally. But teams like Georgia Tech, Louisiana, even Miami, these teams are not balanced on both sides of the ball. We will have opportunities to beat them if we play well enough. And we
should beat them.
And we've shown in these games that we can beat these teams, but we have to play a full game. Both sides of the ball have to come together on this. And so 3 wins should be the goal. You're not going to go 5-0. I can tell you that. You're not going to go 5-0. It's not going to happen. So don't set those expectations on this team. Shoot for 3 wins. Shoot for getting an 8-win season in a bowl game opportunity.
You mean from a fan perspective?
Yeah, from a fan's perspective.
Yeah. Realistic.
The team, I hope they shoot for 5-0. Great. But from a fan perspective, do not put the pressure of saying, let's go 5-0. Let's have a 9-win season plus a bowl game. It's probably not going to happen, guys. Like,
I just got
to get 7 wins. Try to get 7 wins plus a bowl.
I just got a DM, from a follower there, and they said, we've got to have a good crowd turnout on the Georgia Tech game. If that stadium's half filled, which is my fear, it's a shit kickoff time. I hate 12 o'clock, but listen,
you're playing Georgia Tech. They're not.
But we've had our primetime night games more than usual, to be honest.
We had like 3 or 4 straight,
which is wonderful. It's a different ball game, and there's been some pretty damn good teams around college football that have had to kick the ball off at 11 a.m. depending on the part of the country they were in, for a 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah.
It's a crap time. You can't tailgate. It's hard to get up, go to breakfast, get to the stadium. It sucks. The players don't like it either. So nobody likes it. But you need to get out there if you can and support this team. The tickets are going to be $5-10 on the secondary markets. If you don't have tickets, they'll probably give tickets away.
Yeah.
We need to show this team that we're behind them. If they look up in those stands and see them empty, what message does that send to them and any recruits that are coming in?
I totally agree.
Yeah.
I totally agree. I don't believe it'll be a sellout, but I hope enough people. I hope students show up. I hope the locals show up. It helps the local. As many people. I do hope we see 80%, 85% stadium capacity there. Coming out of the bye week, I think it'll be tough. New game, like you said, for all those reasons. But I do hope we see some support of this team coming out of the bye off of 3 straight losses.
And my last piece is we had great. We appreciate everybody's comments. You are welcome on this show. Your comments are welcome. Your questions. And it was beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah. We want that. That's what we want. We want the interaction.
Yeah, we always love the
interaction. I'm trying to get a phone in line. I don't know if that's possible.
We're a pretty low budget show. But yeah, thank you again, y'all, for the.
I got one last point.
There we go. He always has. There's always
this
the last
is the
one.
question.
There's always the last one.
This is the question. If I would have been at the presser this week, okay, at not the game presser, but the presser this week with Coach Norvell, this should have been asked. Coach Norvell, Dabo Swinney made some very nice compliments to you about your team, but he also said he noticed all the fans that left the game. What are your thoughts about that? and especially with the Georgia Tech game coming up? Nobody asked that question. That's a good question. That is a good question. Yeah, Michigan foul activity. I know. Some of the games are putting on a dog beat at 12 o'clock. I'm floored by it.
I'm not jealous of that.
It used to be a crap time. Now it's a good time. So that is the question that got missed this week so far. And they should ask that question. How do you feel about that, Mike? Yeah. And I'm going to put that question out.
So well, yeah, I think 10 questions will get tougher. If you lose at Georgia, if you lose against Georgia Tech,
all the
you're going to get they get tougher and tougher the more you lose.
Yeah. But I don't want these media beat reporters. Like I hear them in the press conferences. They're setting these coaches up. Well, coach, I don't really want to ask you this question, but you know what I mean? What the hell? Are you a professional beat reporter with access, and you're afraid to ask these guys?
Well, they all want to get their question asked, though. They don't. If you're ridiculous. Dick, you're not going to get
it's ridiculous.
It's
ridiculous.
It's
ridiculous.
It's all politics,
and it's mainly dominated by one group of beat reporters from one media outlet, which is it looks staged at times. And these guys pretend like, well, we're asking tough questions. You ain't asking shit. Okay. And that doesn't mean to be rude or professional, but you're afraid to ask some of these questions that puts people a little bit, on the edge.
Yeah. Yeah. I would agree with you. Well, there's one thing. I got one quick thing. I have to do our one quick segment before we go.
This is like the longest show ever.
It was not supposed to go like this. It was not supposed to go like this. No, we have to do our picks of the week. I got our ACC picks of the week.
What are you talking about? That's next week during game week.
No. But we have ACC. We have ACC games this weekend, though.
Okay.
I think I was perfect last week, so that's why I got to.
All right.
We'll
flip them up there.
Yeah, let me pull up here real quick.
Some of our viewers probably have to go to the restroom.
We have viewers in Vegas, so I made someone a lot of money last week. I know that. So,
hey, and by the way, our picks are for entertainment use only. We're not professional gamblers, and if you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Yeah, something like that. That. All right, let me pull up here.
Right. You got it.
Yeah, a lot of screens going on.
We'll go through them quickly.
All right, here. All right, here we go.
All right. What is all this other crap on the left?
Things that you are too complicated for you to do. All right.
Okay, I'll go first.
Yep, go first.
Syracuse and Clemson.
At Clemson.
At Clemson.
13.5.
No, so we're going with the odds, right?
Yeah.
You got to pick with the odds.
With the spread.
Yeah, I usually just do it without 13.5 points. Syracuse, big game for Syracuse, one of the biggest in the last 25 years for them. Boy, they could, as Muhammad Ali, former Cassius Clay, said against Sonny Liston when I was growing up. I listened to it on a transition radio. Cassius Clay was fighting for the heavyweight championship of the world against Sonny Liston. Look it up. Sonny Liston was an older champion. He was old. He was past his prime. And when Cassius Clay, later Muhammad Ali, knocked out Liston, I'll never forget the call. Liston goes down. Liston goes down. In this case, Syracuse comes into Clemson and shocks the world. That's what Cassius Clay yelled. I've shocked the world. I shocked the world. And they shocked Clemson in their own home at the Rock.
Yeah.
Dabo doesn't fall down coming down the runway. I picked Syracuse in an upset because they're not being respected.
I think this is an interesting one. I do think this is a statement game for the program. Is Syracuse the next Wake Forest? Like, are they the small program that gets the 3 stars and turns them into a powerhouse here? If they win this game, they could get the college football playoff. They could win the ACC. This is their defining moment. This will let us know if they're pretenders or the real thing.
Yeah, I'll take the 13.5 points.
I would take. So you're taking Clemson 13.5 points?
No, I'm taking.
Well, it's Clemson minus 13.5. So what?
Well, that's what I mean. I'm taking Syracuse because you're giving me 13.5 points.
All right, I'm going to take. I think in the end, I think Clemson is the better team. I think Syracuse has to play one, so I'm going to take Clemson in this game.
Okay.
All right. Pitt and at Louisville.
Pitt at Louisville.
Yes.
And Malik Cunningham is coming back for the Cardinals, it appears from what I saw. And let's see. It's Louisville, and you're giving 2.5 points.
I'm not giving them anything. Vegas is.
Yeah. I'm going to take Louisville at home with Malik Cunningham. Pittsburgh's been up and down, inconsistent. I'm going to take the Cardinals at home.
Yeah, I'm going to take Louisville at home. I think they have a pretty good home atmosphere, even though both teams have been pretty consistent lately. I think it'd go either way, but I'm going to take Louisville with the point minus 2.5. BC at Wake Forest. Minus 20.5.
Wow. Is Wake Forest better? Much
yes.
better?
Yes, I'm taking Wake
Sam,
Forest.
just based on their quarterback. And they've got a great outside receiver. They got a decent running. Their defense is suspect. I'm going to go with Wake Forest. That's at Wake Forest, right?
Yes, it's at Wake Forest.
20.5 points is a big spread. But I'm going to go with Wake Forest. I think they're going to light it up at home.
Well, Dengby took Clemson by 3 touchdowns in Pitt, so he agreed. He disagrees with you on both sides. And then, so you're picking Wake Forest?
Yeah, I'm picking Wake Forest.
Yeah, I think Wake Forest is going to demolish them. BC is awful this year. They got a lot of hype at the quarterback position, but that hasn't turned out at all.
Sam Hartman he's a pro.
He's gonna blow them out of the water.
He's a pro.
And then the final matchup here is Duke at Miami, which I believe is just only being shown on the Bally Sports Network, whatever
that's a new sports network. You know, they're putting the Tampa Bay Lightning on there. Is that a new sports?
Yeah, it's like a regional sports network.
So what would you have to do? Stream it on your app and then stream it to the TV?
It's like ESPN4. It's like a made up network. Is
it free? Is it free?
It better be, because that's the only way people are going to watch Miami games.
But do you have to do it on an app and then cast it onto the TV?
All I know is Florida State will never be on that app because people can't watch their games. I'm telling you, Florida State will never be on Bally Sports app. I'm just telling you. But that's where that game is.
All right, let's go on. I'm going to take Miami. I'll give Duke 9 points. Where is it? At Miami? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm going to take Miami. I think Miami's quarterback, Van Dyke, I still think he's a good quarterback. He can put up some numbers. I think they're going to be hyped. They're going to win this game. I'll give Duke the 9.
I mean, Miami has to win the game. I think Duke's reeling. They have a good quarterback too, but
Cristobal doesn't want to lose to Duke. He's in trouble.
Miami has enough offense that I think they can cover. Actually, the cover may be tight.
They're gearing up now.
I'm going with Duke.
Are you?
Miami's
starting. They want to start getting ready for Florida State.
What does that mean? Getting ready for
that? They're getting.
What do you think? They've been playing vanilla? They've been losing to Middle Tennessee on purpose?
No.
What does that mean?
I have to look at their numbers. I look at the numbers.
Panama Jack says the Bally Sports Network is on DirecTV, but
I don't have that shit. I took that antenna when I got a new roof. Panama Jack. I took that antenna off, never put it back on, and those people, 99% no weather problem. Bullshit. When it lightens and rains in Florida, you get 0, So it's terrible.
Dangby, that's a good. Okay, so I knew it was a region. They took over regional sports, so it was Fox Sports that they took
Fox
over.
Sports
regional networks. They're regional networks. Okay,
so Valley, interesting.
So I knew they did West Coast sports,
but I still. My question to our fans is still. I guess you have to have the app on your phone and then you're going to streamcast it to your TV?
Like I said, it shouldn't be something that you ever have to worry about because Florida State will
I'm not going to worry about it because I probably can't pull it off.
Dangby goes with me and picks Duke. You're picking Miami. So we'll see how it goes. So we'll hopefully.
Hey, by the way, we are entertainment only. This is a full disclosure. We're not professional gamblers. If you have a gambling problem, call the whatever number it is.
If Florida State is ever on the Bally Sports app, we've really fallen off. Mike Norvell's been fired. The stadium's been renamed to McDonald's football field. We're really out the rails. So if we're ever on the Bally Sports app, we have some issues. But hopefully, unlike Miami, we'll never be there. I think that's it. We got our picks in, our predictions for this weekend. So hopefully they come true like last week. Anything else you want to go over before we let everyone go?
Let's hopefully the players get a couple 3 days off. Dylan Gibbons is going to go down to South Florida, not South Florida, but down here with Fort Myers area to help distribute all the things that they've collected from the donations that people have sent in. Don't forget to vote for Dylan Gibbons in the All-State contest there. Every day you can vote. So we're doing that. Please do that. Let's push Dylan over. Dylan's a good guy. He really is a good guy, So we've got a lot of good kids on this team. They're really working hard. Norvell is a good leader for this group. He does it his way, and I hope it translates well. So it's been fun. Yeah. It's been a good show, but we got 5 games to go, and it's really going to determine where this team's going. Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I think that's going to do it. Like I said, we'll be back next week. No weekend show.
Thanks to our viewers tonight.
Yeah. Woo-hoo! Thank you all for the interaction. If you haven't already, like the video, subscribe. We would really appreciate that. It helps us grow the channel. And then follow us on Twitter because the old man is always saying something crazy or outlandish. So interact with him there. I'm sure he would enjoy that.
Yeah. Most of those are mine. 90% of those are mine.
Or I'm deleting them, one or the other. So, So thank you all for the time tonight. We really appreciate it.
Wait a minute.
God, there's always something else.
There was a guy on Twitter. There was a guy on Twitter who was saying fans. I think he was a fan that left. He goes, that doesn't matter. Fans don't influence the game. I said, are you kidding me? I said, road teams would disagree with you, and everybody else agreed with me.
Well, go follow him, and if you disagree with him, let him know, and bring him back to the show. So thank you all again. Like the video, subscribe. We'll see you all next week, next Wednesday, and have a great weekend, and stay safe, everyone. Take care, y'all. Bye.
Bye-bye, guys. Bye-bye.